My name is Marie Speakman, and today my individual presentation video is going to be on Marina Abramovic. Marina Abramovic was born November 30th in 1946 in Belgrade, Yugoslavia, which today is now known as Serbia. She was raised in Yugoslavia by her parents, who both had fought as partisans in World War II. Her father was a marshal's elite, and her mother was an art historian who oversaw historic monuments at the time. Marina, growing up, had been exposed to many different artists just outside of communist Yugoslavia. So in 1965, she enrolled at the Academy of Fine Arts in Belgrade to study painting, and that was from the years 1965 to 1970. In her time there, she became interested in performing arts, and specifically the ability to use her body as a site of artistic exploration. She also enrolled at the Radionic Krst Hugedisk Academy of Fine Arts in Zagreb from the years 1970 to 1972. And during this period, she taught at the Academy of Arts, University of Novi Sad from 1973 to 1975. Now for Marina's midlife period. So in her early work, Marina had put her body in a lot of danger, and I will provide examples of that when I get into her actual artwork and describing some of her most famous pieces. She had suggested that the nature of her work came both from her relationship with her mother and her experience growing up under Tito's communist dictatorship. She is quoted as referring to her artwork, "All my work in Yugoslavia was very much about rebellion, not against just family structure, but the social structure and the structure of the art system. My whole energy came from trying to overcome these kinds of limits." Abramovic was creating performance art while it was still new. In 1975, she was in Amsterdam, and this is where she had met German-born artist Frank Uwe Leisiepen, also known as Ule, and that is the name that I will be referring to him throughout the rest of this video. And they had moved in together. So they were an artistic duo and lovers for 12 years after they had met in 1975. The two of them had traveled across Europe in a van. They lived with Australian Aboriginal people. They spent time with Indians, Tibetan Buddhist monasteries, and they traveled the Sahara, the Thar, and the Gobi deserts. When Abramovic and Ule decided to end their artistic collaborationship and romantic relationship in 1988, they embarked on one piece called The Lovers. Now this is one of Abramovic's and Ule's most famous art pieces. In The Lovers, they both started at different places on the Chinese Great Wall, and they walked toward each other for 3 months, and when they finally met, they said their goodbyes. Now I'm going to be getting into some of her arguably most famous works. So the first piece of artwork that I'm going to describe to you is Carrying the Skeleton. In this performance, Abramovic uses a replica skeleton to symbolize the confrontation with death. The work refers in part to an ancient Tibetan tradition in which Buddhist monks meditate on life, death, and mortality by sleeping with skeletons of various areas of decomposition for consecutive nights. Rhythm 5. This was one of the first significant performances in Marina's career. In this performance, Abramovic sought to revoke the energy of extreme bodily pain. She used a large 5-point star that was drenched in petroleum, and which she then lit on fire, and during the performance she laid down in it in front of an audience. And what happened in this one is that she almost died because she began to suffocate during this performance because of all of the smoke coming up from the star, and the audience actually had to get up and get her out to save her life. Rhythm 0. It was one that made her famous and is considered one of the most significant works of performance art ever to be done. This work had Abramovic standing still while the audience was invited to do to her whatever they wished. And she had at least 72 objects surrounding her that she had placed on a table. These objects included things like a rose, feather, perfume, honey, but they also included things like a scalpel, nails, a metal bar, and even a loaded gun with one bullet. Marina later said about this performance is that what I learned is that if you leave it up to the audience, they can kill you. So the last piece I'm going to share with you is Thomas Lips. In this performance, Marina takes on a range of actions in pushing her body to physical limits. She starts with eating 1 kilo of honey, then 1 liter of red wine. Then she breaks the wine glass with her hand. This action becomes more violent, which leads to an attempt of automutilation, such as cutting a 5-pointed star into her stomach with razor blades. And those are the arguably most famous pieces of her work. Now for her later life. After she had separated with Ule, she continued working with collaborators as well as starting to work on video, artwork, and sculpting. In 1989, she created Transitory Object Human and Non-Human Use, which puts together objects that are meant to incite audience participation and interaction. In the 1990s, Abramovic taught at the Hochschule der Kunst in Berlin and the Akademie des Beaux-Arts in Paris, as well as the Hochschule für Bildende Kunst in Hamburg. In 1994, she taught for 7 years as a performance art professor at the Hochschule für Bildende Kunst in Braunschweig, Germany. Awarded the Golden Lion for Best Artist at the Venice Biennale for Balkan Baroque in 1997. In 2003, she won a New York Dance and Performance Award for The House with the Ocean View, which was created in 2002. In 2005, she was staged in performance by artists such as Vito Acconci and Bruce Newman, as well as her own, Thomas Lips, in an exhibition at the Guggenheim Museum called 7 Easy Pieces, for which she earned the U.S. Art Critics Association Award. Marina Abramovic is still alive, but to no surprise, she plans to make her funeral her last piece of artwork. Abramovic came to the decision after attending Susan Sontag's funeral, stating, "It was the saddest funeral I've been to in my life, and she was one of the greatest human beings I had ever met." She wants to, for her funeral, have 3 bodies, 2 fake, buried in the cities she calls home: Belgrade, New York, and Amsterdam. If her wishes are executed properly, no one will know where her real corpse is buried. This brings us to Marina's legacy. She refers to herself as the grandmother of performance art. She continues to be an essential influencer of performance artists today, making over the last several decades, especially one of those challenging the limits of her body. She created the Marina Abramovic Institute for Preservation of Performance Art, which opened in Hudson, New York in 2012. It's a nonprofit organization that will support teaching, preserving, and funding performance art, and ensuring the everlasting legacy of Marina Abramovic. Abramovic says about the institution, "Performance is fleeting, but this place, this is for time. This is what I will leave behind."